What's up, sports bettors? I got 6 player props for you in this video on PrizePicks, but as a little bit of a recap from yesterday, I gave out this play. Draymond over 22.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. He ended up with 22. He actually had 23, but they took away one of his assists. They stat corrected him. So this was a little bit of a frustrating loss because with PrizePicks, the way their flex plays pay out, we're only getting a 2x payout as opposed to a 10x payout. But the plays I did give out on Underdog Fantasy, both of them cashed. So hopefully you guys were able to tail this one. 3 picks so we went 3 for 3 here, $2,100 payout. And then for 4 for 4 here, $2,100 payout as well, because this one we used insurance. But I gave these plays out on YouTube, so hopefully some of you, were able to tail. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get into PrizePicks. And of course, the purpose of these videos, I try to give everyone profitable picks, show you guys what I'm putting my own money on. That's all I'm doing in these videos. But I also like to kind of explain PrizePicks strategy, right? How does PrizePicks work? And what you're going to notice, and what I've explained in other videos, but it's so critical to understand, is PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform, right? They're not changing your payouts based on you selecting over or under. It doesn't matter what 5 picks you select. So if we switch this to a soccer pick, we're still getting the same payout. If we switch this to an under, we're still getting the same payout. So essentially, if you take PrizePicks, their 5 flex, and you back out what percentage of your picks you need to win to be profitable, what you're going to see is it's 54.25%, right? All you have to do to beat PrizePicks is win 54.25% of your picks or more, right? So what PrizePicks assumes is most people don't have an advantage, right? Like I have no idea who this guy is. So if I'm selecting his over-under for goalie saves, I'm probably only going to be correct 50% of the time. I mean, I'm definitely only going to be correct 50% of the time, right? If you have no advantage in picking over-unders, you're only going to get them right. You're only going to be correct 50% of the time. And if you're only correct 50% of the time, your ROI playing on PrizePicks is going to be negative 25%. So what PrizePicks is banking on is most people don't have an advantage, right? And if you don't have an advantage, you're only going to be winning 50% of your picks. You're not going to be profitable. So how do we get that advantage? How do we find player props that are winning over 54.25% of the time? And typically I start out on the OddsJam positive expected value tool, positive EV tool right here. So all this tool does, right, it's pretty simple, is it scans the market for plays just like this, Booker under 6.5 assists, where sportsbooks have one side heavily favored, right? So we know on PrizePicks to be profitable, all we got to do is win 54.25% of our player props. So what the positive EV tool is doing is it's scanning the market, all of these lines on PrizePicks, all these NHL shot on goal props, MLB strikeout, first inning, all these different lines. OddsJam is scanning all of them, right? And then OddsJam is also just pulling in data from all the sports books. So you can see DraftKings right here. They have Booker's under favored. They have him for player assists. They have Booker's under favored, right? The under's minus 130, the over's plus 100. So basically all these sports books are telling you the same thing, right? Booker's under is the favored outcome. So we know the under is going to be winning over 50% of the time because all the sports books have his under favored. Bet Online, a really sharp sports book, they have his under at minus 139. BetUS is the minus 150. Hot Streak minus 141. Pinnacle minus 135. So you have all these data points. As a PrizePicks player, what you should assume is, wow, I have all these data points, all these different sports books telling me where a line should be set in every single sports book, from DraftKings to Bet Online to Pinnacle. All these books are saying the same thing. Hey, Booker's a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. Right? So this is a player prop that's winning above 54.25% of the time and is profitable to include in our PrizePicks entry. So we have right here, we have an NBA player prop, but sometimes there's tennis player props, right? So you can see right here a play in Nori versus Zhang over 21.5 games. Pinnacle, sharpest sportsbook in the world. They have the over all the way up at minus 113. You're getting this on PrizePicks, at minus 119 implied odds. So this can be a little confusing to new sports bettors. But essentially, if you're betting, and you need to win, so let's just go to an odds converter calculator. If you need to win 54.25% of your picks to be profitable, what that essentially means, if you just use an odds converter calculator, is you're betting at minus 119 odds, right? So PrizePicks on their flex plays is essentially, right, they're not changing your payouts based on you selecting overs or unders. You're always getting the same payout, right? So for a 2-pick power play, it's a 3x payout. For a 5-pick entry, we showed what it was a little bit ago, but for a 5-pick entry, this is always the payout you're getting, right? So essentially, every pick they're giving you, every single pick PrizePicks is giving you, they're just charging minus 119 juice. So if that's confusing, I'll include my email in the description. You can always feel free to reach out. But long story short, what we can do is we can use Pinnacle's odds, go to a no vig fair odds calculator, and you can put in Pinnacle's market. So Pinnacle is known to be the sharpest sportsbook in the world. So if we put in their market right here, they're saying, hey, the over is the favorite outcome. So we know this game is more likely to go over as opposed to under, according to Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker out there. So they have the over juiced all the way to minus 133. They have the under at plus 119. So we know the over is favored. We know the over is going to be hitting over 50% of the time, but we want to make sure the over is winning over 54.25% of the time. So what this calculator does is it takes a sportsbook's market and then tells you the win probability for the over and the under. So in this case, according to Pinnacle, right, according to the market they're putting out, they have the over as the favorite outcome. The over is winning at a rate of 55.56%. Right, so 55.56. If you could win all your player props on PrizePicks 55.56% of the time, your ROI long term is going to be 8.8%. Right, so you're going to be really profitable. And again, you're just using sportsbook odds to find spots where one side is heavily favored, and you can still get that line on PrizePicks. Right, and as a sharp bettor, I say this all the time. Like, I don't care if I'm betting on tennis. I don't care if I'm betting on basketball. I just want to find plays with an edge. Right? Out of these tens of thousands of lines on PrizePicks, all these different markets you can bet, player strikeouts, right? All these different markets, I'm just looking for 5 picks that are all winning over 54.25% of the time. It's really simple. That's how you beat PrizePicks. So the first tool I use, Positive EV tool. And again, this shouldn't be confusing. Like for example, we just saw the over was the favorite outcome, minus 133 odds. This calculator is very standard, right? So you can see tonight the Celtics are pretty big favorites, minus 480 on Bet Online. For example, the Celtics are pretty big favorites, minus 480. The 76ers are plus 390. So if we put in that, what you're going to see is the market is telling us, hey, the Celtics are 80% to win this game, right? Minus 400 odds means a 4-1 favorite, means 80% to win, right? Minus 200 means a 2-1 favorite, means 66.67% to win, 2/3 to win the game. So here, most of these books have the Celtics, around minus 444. So they're a bit over a 4-1 favorite. So they're a bit over 80% to win this game, which you can see right here with the no vig odds calculator. Right? Whereas if a team is minus 200 and the underdog is plus 200, the favored team is a 2-1 favorite. They're going to win the game 2/3 of the time, 66.67% of the time. Right? So we're not doing anything complicated here. So the second tool I use kind of to find value on PrizePicks is called the fantasy screen. So you just kind of, if you want to navigate to it, it's screen, fantasy screen. And this tool will have some overlap with the Positive EV tool, but essentially all it's doing is the same thing, right? It's scanning sportsbook odds. So for example, if we look at Dougie Hamilton, all the sportsbooks have his over 2.5 shots on goal favored. Right? DraftKings has his over at minus 140, his under's at plus 110, so the over is the favorite outcome. It's not minus 200, but you get the point. The over is more likely than the under according to sportsbooks, right? And these books have invested, hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines. So their lines are very accurate, right? Their lines are very indicative of the true win probability for a bet. So we can see for Dougie Hamilton, this player prop shows up. It's 55% to win, which is above 54.25%, right? This is the required win rate to be profitable on PrizePicks. So what this tool does is, right, it's just showing you the player props shown in green are all going to be winning over 54.25% of the time. So they're going to be profitable in a 5 flex, right? So Mackenzie Gore, over 4.5 hits allowed. All the sports books have Mackenzie Gore's over heavily favored. For Devin Booker, all the books had his under heavily favored. For Cal Quantrill, the books have his under 2.5 earned runs heavily favored. For Dougie Hamilton, books have his over 2.5 shots on goal heavily favored. So all these plays that are winning over 54.25% of the time are going to be shown in green because they're all profitable in a PrizePicks entry, right? And you can use this tool for underdog fantasy. You know, some of these plays I found yesterday. Yesterday was epic. 7 straight wins on underdog fantasy, $2,100, $2,100. But you can use this tool for underdog, no house advantage, parlay, play, flip, a bunch of different platforms. But just in terms of PrizePicks, Dougie Hamilton, his over's heavily favored, right? DraftKings, all the sports books have his over 2.5 shots on goal heavily favored. So this is a great player prop. The over is the favored outcome to include in our PrizePicks entries. Sportsbooks have a fair amount of juice towards the over. It's not minus 200, but you get the point, right? It's not a 2-1 favorite. This play is not a lock. None of that BS. This is just a play with an edge, right? It's just a profitable play. And then you can see for Vladimir, so let's go back here, you know, his under's heavily favored. So for Vladimir Tarasenko, all the books have his under heavily favored. So you want to take his under on PrizePicks. So long story short, the first play I went with is right here. Tarasenko, under 2.5 shots on goal. Hamilton, over 2.5 shots on goal. Booker, under 6.5 assists. Quantrill, under 2.5 earned runs. Mackenzie Gore, over 4.5 hits allowed. Again, most of these plays, I mean, just right here, I'm not doing anything complicated. I'm literally just following the data. Then I threw in a 6-pick entry with that tennis play. 6 picks, so same 5 picks as before. Just made this a 6 flex. And then I took out the play on Mackenzie Gore, made another 5 flex with the tennis play. So 5 picks on PrizePicks. You know, sometimes there's more value on an underdog. I say this all the time. I'm just showing you guys, you know, what I'm putting my own money on. So if I find value on underdog, I'll have some, you know, plays from underdog later today. If I find more plays on DraftKings, I'll plays on DraftKings, right? I've already given out some other plays on Twitter. And I'll include my Twitter below if you want to follow me there because I'll tweet out some plays I'm on, stuff like that. So hopefully this video was helpful. Let's make money.